Hi, and welcome to Two Tired Teachers.
We have had our Winnebago Micro Minnie 2106 FBS for 3 years now. And
it's been some places.
And that's something we want to talk about. We do not do this full time. We don't live together full time. We don't travel full time. But I would say of those 3 years, we've been in it at least one.
Yes.
If you combine all of the trips together. And so we've spent some time in here and we've gone a long distance. And so today what we want to talk about are the minor repairs or upkeep that we have had to do on this.
And for complete honesty, if you've watched those, you know Sharon does them. I sometimes watch her do them, and I often listen to her talk about doing them.
She listens to me talk about them a lot. But here's the bottom line, and we want you to hear this up front, and that is, the other day we said, this will probably be the last RV we ever have because it fits us so perfectly.
Yes.
So if you own anything, whether that's a house, a car, an RV, a boat, a motorcycle, whatever it is, it's going to have some upkeep. And with an RV, because you have so many different systems, there's going to be...
Yes.
And it's being bounced along as you go. We've had some upkeep, and so we just want to talk to you about some of those. We're going to start outside, and we're going to start outside at the front. And the first thing that we will talk about is the top for the RV, for the propane tanks. We were
losing those with some frequency.
We lost the first one on our first trip to Natchez Trace. And so we replaced it.
Sure.
And I don't know. I don't know why it doesn't stay on. I tighten those little things down as good as I can. I mean, it hurts my fingers. And if it's the heat that we live in or what. But anyway, we lost another one. Finally, we just used little bungee cords to...
Yes, and it has worked.
You know, it's fine. If we're concerned about it, we can put a trash bag over that if we wanted to, but you know, once we get somewhere, but we don't worry about that now. And then on the fifth wheel, I made a video about replacing the regulator on the propane tanks there, which was much harder than it was on this one. I did go on and replace the regulator and the hoses. Now,
just to refresh your memory, the reason it was much harder on the fifth wheel was the fifth wheel was in a very tight space. And this has a lot more room.
Yeah, it's
Sharon can work with.
I love being able to change the propane tanks out on this. This is wonderful. Yes. But, you know, some people would say, well, those hoses shouldn't wear out like that. It's not like on a barbecue grill in your backyard that's not going anywhere. Mm-hmm. Think about it. That cover is blowing against those hoses as you drive. Yes. And so... we've put on better hoses. I did just recently unscrew those and put in some gas, that tape, that yellow tape that's for gas, because they had started to, we could smell it just a little bit. Yeah. Will I have to replace that regulator again? Probably at some time in the future. Will I have to replace the hoses again? Maybe.
Probably.
But that's just part of the upkeep, and so don't really worry about that. The gaskets on the bay doors.
I have to tell you, that's made a huge difference. The first time I tried to lock it after she replaced it, it was tight.
Really?
It's very tight.
We're going to have a video about that, and I got to tell you, that has been the easiest repair, maintenance that we've done. And had I known it was going to be that easy, I would have done it the first time I noticed it getting a little... It's one of those things that's gradual a lot over time, and the little metal thing there gets bent, but replace that. It was like $10 to buy the gasket that fixed both of those, and it works so well. Okay. We're going to talk about the sewage system here for a second, and I don't know if you know anything about our RV. It's a 2018. We bought it in January 2019, slightly used. And I don't know if it's something that had happened before that or early on in our travels, but the blade that closes the gray water sometimes does not seal completely.
Yeah.
Notice it early in the season a little bit more. I'm sure there is a proper way to fix that. But I know an easy way to fix that. And so that was the one I went with. And that was simply put another blade. They're made to go on the sewer hose. It connects just like your sewer hose connects on that, the dump place.
Yes.
And so we just put a blade there and an extra blade. We get to a dump station, hook the hose, we pull that. You can hear just a little bit of gray water draining out before you pull the black tank. Now, because I added that extra blade, I guess it was the weight. I really don't know if that little thing came loose before or after we added the blade, but the brace that was holding that drain broke. It was, in my opinion, not exceptionally substantial, considering the fact that it's bouncing down the road. And so I honestly took it to a place that I'd had some other stuff done, and they did this for free. It's plumber strap. They got just a little half-inch piece of board there to keep it a slope to that, and plumber strap, and strap that with some self-tapping screws, and it's held like a champ.
Yes.
And so that was something that we had to have done. That's why we had it done. It's really, it's been, like I said, I'm sure there's a proper way to do that, but this was the easy way. We made a video about our fresh water overflowing when we were connected to city water. And that is just it has to do with actually with the water pump, and there's a little diaphragm in there that needs to, essentially what you need to do is disconnect city water, pressurize the lines, then you can connect to city water and it stops that. So it wasn't really it's something that happened.
Yes.
And we were very thankful to find.
And we weren't the only people it's happened to.
Yes, there have been a lot of people that have had that, and that has been, we were glad we found a solution for it.
This one I want to talk about, and it's the reflective tape that was on the RV. The guy who owned it before we did had some on there. And I hadn't thought anything about it until we camped on the beach.
At South Padre.
South Padre. And when you're camping on the beach, there is no light other than moonlight and stars. And so you want people to be able to see exactly where you are so that they don't hit you.
Yes, and this being a dark RV, he had it on the back, and actually I added some to the front. I did not measure that, and kind of wish I had, because whenever I'm getting ready to hitch, having those little pieces of tape, it helps me line it up exactly, because even though it's not measured exactly, if I have two little pieces of tape on each side, I know I'm centered. And then I back up and I have one little piece of tape on each side, and I know I'm getting really close.
Now that we're doing more dispersed and boondocking, we've added some to the sides of the steps so that they show when we're out.
And there's a little bit on the slide. It was somewhere we were in New Mexico, and that was in kind of a little circle, so we added just a little bit there. But that, once again, was just something we felt like for safety. And then tires, we have replaced tires.
Twice.
Won't go into all that but we now have Goodyear Endurance, and they seem to be very good tires. We are pleased with those. Okay, one other repair I made outside, and that was replacing the low point drain. I did make a video about this, and at the time I replaced it, the only part I could find was another one exactly like the one I was taking off, which was plastic, and it started to crumble. Well, the one I replaced it with started doing the same thing, but because I had put on the brace, it was easy to take off. I since have replaced it with this metal one, and it is doing a great job. And so, moving to the inside, our door had started to have little weather cracks,
Yes.
or stress cracks. And I made a video talking about how I did this. I didn't see anyone else doing it this way. My thought is the skin on the door is actually kind of cosmetic.
Yes.
But you don't want water getting in there.
No.
And so
that can cause some real problems.
my solution was it's just strips of vinyl tape that
you can put on a counter or
wall. People use it to
yes.
use dyes to cut letters and stuff to put it. And so we use that, and it's been on there
great.
for several trips now, and it's been working well.
And it looks beautiful.
Okay, we did make a video about making the RV our own, where we talked about having the twin beds put in, the queen bed taken out, the twin beds put in, which gave us tons of storage, a place for a dog crate, and stuff like that. And so, if you're interested in that, we'll put a link to the videos that we have. We'll put links in the description below, and the others will put dates that the videos, if there are videos coming out about those. Okay, the galley, the kitchen. We've had several recent things that we've done. One is, and this is going to kind of be a couple of things here.
Yes.
We had to recaulk the sink. And the reason we had to recaulk the sink was because it had actually come loose. We now, part of our, we sanitize our freshwater tank every 6 months because we do dry camp a lot.
Yes.
So now, when we sanitize our freshwater tank, I'm going to be checking the little wing nuts that hold the sink in that slot.
Yes.
Precisely. Like we said, it jostles a lot, and sometime over the jostling, it had come loose, and it's kind of the chicken and the egg. I don't know which came first. That jostled loose, which then the drain pipe, because the sink was now jostling, the drain pipe came loose. Fortunately, I was outside. We'd gotten to a campsite. I was outside still setting some stuff up, and MiLena turned on the faucet, and water started flowing outside. And so we knew we had a problem.
I didn't, but Sharon told me, stop the water.
Beating on the wall, saying, stop. And so anyway, honestly, I just put a little tape around the pipe where the washer was, tightened that back on, and we've gone a lot of miles since then. It's still working well. But had to recaulk around the sink. And so while I was doing that, went on and recaulked the bathroom as well, because the RV's 4 years old, and decided, why not?
Yes.
While I had some brown caulk to go on and get that done. But I do have a video that will be coming out about the door skin and the caulking. But that was kind of that was before a long trip, and we're just let it happen while we were here.
So I can go back to the outside.
Okay.
Sharon has not put up the video yet, and we don't know when it will go up, but it's changing the locks on bay doors.
We may or may not put that video up. It's kind of but what I did, I will go on and say this, is rather than ordering locks, because there are a lot of little things that have to be measured precisely.
Yes.
I just took the locks that were on there off, went to a locksmith and had him rekey them. And it did not cost any more. It was actually a little cheaper than ordering locks, and I knew they would fit.
Yes.
And so that was just kind of the simplest thing, but I'm glad you thought of that. Okay. We did replace the microwave, not because there was a problem with the microwave, but we put in some solar, and the inverter we had and the microwave that came in here,
they were not compatible.
Didn't work well together. And so that was no big deal. We knew that one of us, our kitchen, our microwave would go out. We'll use it. And so we bought Hamilton Beach, and it's worked well, but it had nothing to do with there being a problem with the microwave. Okay, the water pump. When we started to Utah, the water pump, the lines did not pressurize as we got started on that trip. and the only city we were going through was Albuquerque. And so while we were in Albuquerque, we bought a water pump.
Yes.
So that when we got somewhere, I could put it in. And it took us a couple of days to get to a destination. And over that time, we honestly had gallon jugs of water we were using to wash our hands and brush our teeth and etc. But by the time we got to a stopping point,
the water pump was limping along.
The lines had pressurized.
It was working.
But yeah, the lines had pressurized, and so we did not mess with it while we were on that trip. But once we got home, we did replace it.
Sharon wanted to be able to have all the tools she needed, and those happened to be at home rather than on the road.
Well, and it's just easier when you're home to be able to take your time and do things. So anyway, that was not hard, but we did replace the water pump. The one that was in here was still working. We have it as a spare, and if we're out somewhere and somebody's completely dies and they can use that one, we have it. So we do have a video about that. The slide reset a couple of years ago. We got somewhere and the slide was not going out evenly. It was going, it was tilting as it was going out. And that was that's your heart kind of stops when you're in that situation.
But that was a little shakedown trip just to be sure everything was working right, and that let us know everything wasn't working.
We try to take a shakedown trip before a big trip. I mean, that's just good practice because there are things. And so anyway, it was a simple fix. Once I figured out how to get to just take the 3 screws off the front of the couch rather than trying to take the couch
to reset it.
Yeah, to reset it. And that was fortunately very, very easy and simple.
And it may not be that way. It depends on where your reset is.
And what's wrong with your slide.
Yes.
I mean, we certainly, but that was fortunately for us. Okay, a couple of things with the shower, and we haven't filmed these, but the shower door curtain, as it is in here,
it's like a clear plastic.
It's a clear plastic, but it's in a frame.
Yeah.
And you have to pull it across. We keep the pet water in there, and I don't know if it was a pet trying to get into the water or if it was just as we were pulling across we didn't pay attention. I don't know. But it tore against the frame just a little bit. And so my solution was clear Gorilla Tape. And put a strip on the inside, a strip on the outside, and then a strip across the top and the bottom, making sure I was on that frame for every piece of Gorilla Tape I put in there. And that's been a couple of years, and it's still holding up.
Yeah,
so
it's great. We're more careful with how we close the shower now, but it's working perfectly.
And I mean, if bad came to worse, you can just get a shower curtain and use that. Yeah. But I like the little thing that's in there. And then we have put in a low-flow shower head. Recently, we put that in, and seems to work fine. I mean, that was just an upgrade we wanted to make. And then one other thing, and this was just so that, like we said, we sanitize our freshwater tanks, our freshwater tank twice a year, and then we winterize and unwinter. So we're accessing our hot water heater 4 times a year, at least. And so...
And by the way, I know some of you are going to say, it's a water heater, not a hot water heater. We've always called it a hot water heater. We'll do it just out of... We're not doing it to irritate you.
And we may talk about the ice box. That's how we were brought up. That's what we heard when we were growing up. But anyway, the water heater just put easy access, and that was just some little craft sticks, drilled a little hole in there, and screwed them in so that I can simply swivel them rather than, because you're screwing in and that made it super simple. Easier.
I want to say this about the repairs. Over the 3 years that we've had this RV and the years we had the fifth wheel, Sharon has literally saved us thousands of dollars by doing repairs herself.
Well, let's say this other thing is, these are what I consider minor repairs, and if if I can do them, you can do them kind of things. Oh, I put in a new thermistor.
It's like a thermostat.
Yeah, that was no big deal either, but it's kept our stuff from freezing. And they did not make a video about that. It was just putting two little wires together and thermistor, I think is what it's called. But anyway, we have the door open because we actually are home, and so saw that. But anytime you can do a minor repair, you're gonna have your RV. And it's not going to be sitting in a shop in line waiting to be worked on months down the road.
And it's not going to cost, you're not going to start out with a cost of $120 an hour.
Or more, yeah.
And it's always at least an hour.
At least an hour. So, we love this RV. And once again, those things have taken place. These repairs, it's been a span of 3 years. It wasn't like everything happened at once. It's been... over the 3 years, these are things that we've done to stay on the road and keep going. So this is something I would like to know after a period of time. How are things holding up and what kinds of things have you had to do? And so if you're looking, I still would recommend Winnebago.
Oh, I would too. By the way, they don't make the dark blue anymore or the red.
That's been a disappointment. It's faded.
Horribly.
And we hand wash and wax it twice a year. Now we can wash it in between that, but we hand wash and wax it twice a year. It's fading. That is not affecting the functionality. It still functions fine. It just doesn't look as pretty. So, we've done some things. We've had to make some repairs, but it keeps us rolling, and that's the name of the game. Thanks for watching Two Tired Teachers.